Manhood, brought to you in part by Solomon's Bespoke.
This is another episode of Manhood where we are going to talk about another powerful topic, one that might even connect to this show. And is this show on the level of international standards as might be perceived by people? And what that topic is cultural confidence. You might be asking yourself, what is cultural confidence? But simply that, confidence in your culture. But why don't we have that confidence? And why is it always that something is better when it's foreign, as they say? So we're going to go straight into it. Manhood talking about cultural confidence. To my right, Johan Sayudike, behavior change consultant. To his right, Kyle Maloney, co-founder of Tech Beach. And to his right, Stephon Felmine, a teacher, a social media influencer, and a teacher at Mova Laventil Secondary School. And you might know him also from Spellbound. So we want to go straight into it, guys. Cultural confidence. You know, when we had that brainstorming session as to what the topic should be for this particular episode, it really was one that was born, and I would share just a couple of things. People who always have to connect it to, and it was good feedback, but it was that, hey, this show reminds them of whether it be things with Joe Rogan or a couple of other persons. I can't remember the breakfast show. Some other names right now. But immediately when
This is Breakfast Club.
That similarities of this show and shows in whether it be in the UK or the United States. And I thought to myself, but manhood is manhood. It's Trinbagonian. It's talking about, yes, men in general, we're better as brothers, but it's specifically to Caribbean men. And by my own relation, because I've only, in terms of the Caribbean, I've only lived in Trinidad and Tobago. And so I'm speaking with regards to my experiences with Trini men. And so my first thing was, well, why to accept it? Does it have to be that, wow, it looks foreign or it looks this particular way, as opposed to simply,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Why compare?
I like the show.
Yeah.
But just to start off with the word cultural confidence and where it came from, Kyle, I'd like you to, because I got it from Kyle.
Well, I didn't come up with it. In the talk that I was giving, I was referring to a talk that Mia Motley gave, where she referred to Caribbean people acting from a place of cultural confidence, belief in themselves, that what they have to offer the world is globally relevant and appealing, And I think, easy reference for her is the incredible icon that has come out from Barbados that is unapologetically Bajan or Barbadian, right? And that is Rihanna. And so Rihanna unabashedly leans into her own cultural confidence, let everybody know that she's Barbadian, goes back to Barbados Carnival regularly, and so we as Caribbean people need to believe that what we have to offer the world is something that is appealing, and we don't need to water it down. We don't need to adapt it. We need to be more authentically who we are.
And so that is what we need to be. But Johan say,
but why we need to be that? Why do you think so?
I think it for to come from a place of authenticity, right? To come from a place of this is who we are, and not having a feeling that you need to be somebody else. Try to emulate other things and position yourself in a way that you think would be relatable to the rest of the world, sort of thing, and so that you could be true to yourself.
Let me tell you something, Johan. Which is why the topic was so I wouldn't use the word dear to me, but intrigued me that it had to be an episode here on manhood. I've lived in England, I've lived in Ireland, I've lived in Germany, I've lived in several LA and New York. I can say to you, I have never, maybe a bit in England because I was born there, but I'm saying to you that never changed my Trinbagonian accent. I've made it clearer, and I've been trained in certain ways to speak from an international standard with regards to no accent for when it's for TV purposes. but I've never changed the accent. Like I've never gone, you hear this as soon as you change your currency, is the freshwater accent comes
freshwater
out.
Yankee.
Give me a 20.
Yeah.
And I've people say, no, you have to talk
We're not
like that.
calling no names. You're not calling no names.
Yeah.
All you know who we're talking about.
Exactly. They say, hey, you have to talk like that for people to understand you. And I say that's absolute rubbish. And I'm not talking about living that you go to live for a month. I'm talking about years being in the country, being very incorporated in the culture and the style of these various countries. Never had to change my accent. As a matter of fact, yes, in certain ways there might have been levels of racism in certain areas. People that don't understand, people may call it Jamaican, all of these different things. But they understood. And in other ways, it actually benefited me. People were intrigued. They love our accent.
I agree with that. I studied and worked in the States for about 7, 8 years, right? And when people heard the Caribbean accent, that was more of an asset instead of a liability. People were intrigued, well, where are you from? They would say Jamaica sometimes, but they still want to know where you're from. People say the Trini accent so nice, etc., etc. So I didn't understand. Well, no lie. I understood why people would change their accent.
You change your accent a little bit.
Let me go from a programming and psychological point of view. Is that most of us grew up hearing an American accent on TV, right? So our subconscious is programmed by repetition. Right? Not necessarily what is right or wrong. So wherever we hear over and over, see over and over, that programs your subconscious or your unconscious mind. So your reaction to it sometimes could be reflexive. So if you grew up, because even people like myself who grew up in the 80s with limited TV stations, you still would watch Sesame Street, you still would watch all of these shows where it had an American accent. So I'm not saying that you should speak like it, but sometimes when you go away and you hear it, it triggers something that you would respond in kind. So this is me. I'm not condoning the freshwater Yankee, but I'm helping understand even to why we don't have the confidence, because we grew up pedestalizing, sometimes even on an unconscious level, the things that we see. You see, I want to go to America, and I say in America because that was most of the TV that we got. So much so, we would say America, but it have nothing like an American accent. It don't even have an American accent. Everybody from a different state have a different accent, but we who don't know, we grew up seeing these things. So we look at it as above ourselves, even at an unconscious level.
Let me just add to that a bit, because as you said, we grew up watching these American shows or whatever. Where was the local content for us growing up? And I think if there were some level of more local content for toddlers, let me just say, at that age, we may have been a bit more appreciative of our accents or even our identity as Trinbagonians or Caribbean people. We watch Sesame Street, we watch Barney and Friends, all those different things. Where was the Trini version of that?
Well, it had some, I mean, when I was growing up, and this will date me, is that there was only one station at a time. There was only TTT at one time. And then there was Channel 4 and TV6. And I think Channel 4 used to show local things, right? Even in between when you would get local commercials. And I think that is what created part of the culture for you to appreciate your own, because in the middle of the American shows, you would get local advertisements.
But you don't think it was too late? I appreciated that at a later age. Not at the age where, you're developing, from, let me say, what was the age? From 3 to 5 or that stage. Right. So all those fun advertisements that you speak of with Beulah.
Right.
And all of them. I appreciated that more when I was older. But if I had something probably younger, where the developmental stage just happened more rapidly, I think you would know better than me.
From a yeah, you'd know better than me as well.
Yeah.
Date him.
Yeah.
The shows that come to mind for me, like you said, with Beulah and Oliver and things like that, all these shows are...
I don't know.
I'm sure people are probably now Googling a lot of what I'm saying. But there are things like...
How old are you?
I am 35.
Kyle, how old are you?
I am 38, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
So these shows...
You probably have cable.
I hear about Beulah, but I didn't know
Beulah,
what
darling.
But they had back
Westwood
then
Park.
there was...
Yeah, Westwood Park.
But before that, on TTT, there'd be things like 12 and Under,
Yes.
Yes.
Dateline, Mastana Bahar.
I was on 12 and under.
Look at that.
Yeah, I was on to
Look
Alright.
at that.
I didn't really make it. I didn't really
Scouting
make
for
it.
talent.
You know?
And then coming up, it was Party Time and a couple other shows, right?
Yeah.
So you're right. In terms of that toddler, the
infancy.
the infancy, your formative years, for that period. As far as I can recall, we didn't have any local programming, and it was a big thing when I was growing up. Somebody had what you call a dish. You have a dish, boy. You are
A satellite
a
dish.
satellite dish, and so on. And they had things like Skinner Max, and those who know.
Yeah.
I don't know that again.
I don't know either. I just heard. And then it was for research purposes after that. But the
Kind of research.
It really did come down to we were very, and like you said, that word American, because there's Central America, South America, North America, and then even if you talk about the United States, there are many states in there. So what indeed is an American? Who also, if we look in and we talk about, where everyone's an immigrant, so everyone would come with their own accents in itself. I don't know why we don't coin Caribbean American, but because we have all the others.
Technically, we are in North America.
Yeah.
Trinidad and Tobago is in North America.
Well, I'm not talking about for us to lose our
Yeah,
sovereignty
yeah,
and
yeah.
identity. I'm
But
talking
geographically,
North,
if you
you mean
really want to get
South.
specific,
South
about
America.
We in South America.
South
South
America.
America.
Venezuela like here.
Yeah.
We and
So-
but the
Venezuela
point
like
is
right there.
American.
American.
Yeah.
That's the whole point,
but,
right?
But I'm saying to you that when persons migrate to the United States, I'm saying that just like how you have African American or all the various different types that you hear people go on about American, why does nobody say I'm Caribbean American? I'm just saying to throw it
that's
out.
true.
But not that I want to lose
because
my
it's
sovereignty.
not a thing, right?
It's not a thing.
Because in society, we words have different meanings. Most words have very high context. So when you say something, it means a whole different thing. And I think maybe it was by design, probably it was. Let's say America, they were very strategic in propaganda, right? Which I think is brilliant, which Trinidad at later stages, we now started, when we started carrying our carnival out. When you're proud of something and you want something, you would do, and you want it known, you would send it. So it's like America would put a McDonald's in as many countries, Starbucks, all of those things are, let's call it nationalistic pride, because my product's so good and I want it in every country of the world, because I think about it. We started that on a later date. Actually, I think we started when people recognized it for us. Now, I'm putting it this way because we talk about, you said cultural confidence, but also if we in ourselves don't have confidence in ourselves, so let's start with that first. Self-esteem in itself. Growing up, learning about self-esteem and what I'm good at. A lot of times we were compared, and if I remember, not only me as a child, but even other people, we were always compared to something else outside of us, right? We always compared with that. So we wouldn't feel like, hey, being a Trini is something to be proud of. Being who I am is something to be proud of. I always looking to see something else. That's one. Two, the parents that taught us this, well, some of them, I'm not saying all, remember we were also a colony, right? And the one, I mean, I'm a student of history, is that we were told, right? It was put into us, even the indentured laborers, we weren't told that, we come here with confidence and we were better. We were told we were less than. So that less than culture came into it. When I remember, I wasn't alive. I remember, but I wasn't alive for when the US, the Yankee dollar came into it, and that was something maybe because it's an American dollar, right? We looked at all the other colonies as above us, and that's what we were taught, and that came into something generational. So the effects of that, I think, is occurring even now, that now we're getting some awareness of it. Now we have people like Kyle who doing things at an international standard, where we could look and see, that man Trini.
But why? Because Trini, the thing is, you know when you go away. So like here, so you get something, you eat something, immediately you think the Kellogg's or the other brands are better. But some of the better chocolates and things that I've eaten is right in Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad, yeah.
But when you go away, all of a sudden putting up our flag.
That's propaganda.
You are no.
They're more Trini than when
you're
they were
more
here.
Trini than
Yeah.
than when you were here. You're
Yeah.
asking for people who are visiting to bring ketchup, to bring this,
Yeah.
to bring that, and it's like, well, clearly,
Where
you're
all
not-
the pride came from. Like that extreme pride.
That extreme pride, but more so, why is it to the Trinbagonian, for the most part, if it's American, if it's foreign, as you hear people say, it's better. Because you've had that experience where you left Trinidad and Tobago and you made it outside and now bringing it back. And now it's the appearance of it's a foreign product and you have all these foreign investors and foreign lecturers and all and persons invested. Now it's, hey, that's the thing.
Well, it's rooted in fact, because that was the case for many products for a long time, right? Most of our products were imported, and I mean still to today, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're imported, and why are they imported? Because we don't have manufacturing capability in some regards to produce certain types of products, right? And as we developed our manufacturing ability and began replacing foreign products with local products, the conditioning was already there that we don't have the capacity locally to make it, and so you had to bring it from foreign, and so the foreign product is the better product because whoever making it here locally just don't have the resources. And so that conditioning has happened from inception, right? And so it'll take time, as it has been taking time, to realize that we can make products just as good and quite frankly, even better. In many different regards, and we'll begin to get that recognition, you know. And so when somebody says, for example, your podcast product looking foreign is a compliment, right? Because we have not historically built the brand of podcast products. So as we begin to create podcast products, for example, just in this category, that are on par, and then create our own space within the space that is our own vibe, that is culturally relevant to us and coming from our own cultural confidence, it'll begin to recondition people's minds to like, yeah, I actually want a Caribbean podcast because it means something. Right now, we haven't defined that meaning in that space yet, you know? But when you think about a Caribbean chocolate, name come to mind, a Caribbean bear, name come to mind, but times before, no name would come to mind.
We could
you know?
say it, you know, Carib stag.
Right, exactly. For the Jamaicans, a red stripe. I mean, but I prefer a Caribou stag, to be honest. Big up Caribou stag. Yeah. Or a Banks bear, you know, depending on where you are, you know. But there are times before where these things didn't exist. And so it comes from a place of fact initially. And it takes time till we redefine the meaning in certain categories that give us a sense of identity that is uniquely ours.
I want to just build a little on what Kyle mentioned. To me, it's not only products, but it also has to do with service as well. Think about companies that hire consultants.
Yeah.
Technically, it's normally a white man coming down from wherever in a nice gray suit, nice ties. We could have that. Because of the brain drain, our brightest would have left and done amazing things. But why deep down, every time we have to hire somebody to teach us something, it has to be someone from the metropole. And that is something that is ingrained in us, that when we see white, we think luxury.
Or an accent.
Or an accent. The same thing that someone says with an accent and we don't say with an accent, they would be deemed superior just because it was said in proper English, right? When they have big meetings, you always see these white gentlemen proudly dressed, not knowing our own Caribbean people would have done amazing things in London, all over the world, and they now could come back and give to us. But we have to be willing to accept that. I still don't think some of us are willing to accept that, you know.
We're not, but as Kyle mentioned, it's a conditioning. We need to go to a break, but you're spot on there as we delve deeper into cultural confidence, the whys, and also how, not just the why are we so, but also how can we begin to change that. And you know, you can't change how it started, but you can certainly change how it ends.
Yeah.
And just to say they're phenomenal persons in Trinidad and Tobago, like, for example, motivational speakers. We always rush to these foreigners who come to Trinidad, and we pay the money to go and see them. But Luke Quamina, Anthony Watkins, Lyndon Balcran, I mean, there's so many others I could name that I have gone to and have a brotherhood with, and they blow my mind each and every time we're in the room. So it's a mindset, but we need to take a short break. We're talking about cultural confidence.
This is Manhood, and today we're talking about cultural confidence. And the angle that we're taking right now is to understand why we always feel that we had to go away and then come back to get the respect, to get invited to the spaces and that sort of thing. And so we're digging a little bit into like my personal experience in building the brand Tech Beach. And the objective of what we try to set out to accomplish is really bringing together a technology community within the region to really progress the digital transformation agenda, see technology companies come from our region, see us invest in our own companies. But in order to build this, my co-founder and I, we had to spend more time away, spend more time in the San Franciscos, in the New Yorks, build a network there in order to really get that validation of community within the Caribbean here to create that product that we really wanted to create, And
the overseas, it come from overseas.
Yeah. And many times we'd get messages to say that, I see y'all bring in, they bring in the Tech Beach to Jamaica, I see they bring in it, as though it's some American thing that a franchise being brought to the Caribbean,
Yeah. And that works. It works for you in your marketing.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've leveraged that understanding that we within the Caribbean have that perception, that belief that something from outside is better. And instead of fighting it, we understood it and we leaned into it and we leveraged it entirely. And we spent a lot of our time in our communications demonstrating the kinds of access that we have in the markets with these kinds of brands and companies to bring them back into the region, to demonstrate that we can create that kind of community within the Caribbean.
Do you think when people find out, just to your point as well, Stephon, when people find out that it's local, like that they're disappointed, or are they excited and embrace the cultural confidence to say, hey, I'm really happy that we're supporting local, even though they didn't know at the time, or that they're proud of that, or is it at that point that they're now questioning
the validity?
Well, public facing to me, I have not seen them question any validity, but you don't know what people say behind your back or say it amongst themselves, right? But you see it in action. So it's not as though like we have people banging down our door, rushing, crumbling to get tickets sort of thing necessarily. Every year we wake up and we fight for that community every year to be in the room. We build momentum for sure. We have a really great brand, but yeah, it's on the other side, definitely we see people pleasantly surprised by the quality of the product that we're able to produce. And then once they step into the spaces that we've created, it's always a joy for us to see the reaction of the quality of the product that we produce in terms of the caliber of the conversations that we are able to curate, the caliber of people that we bring together, the caliber of the production that we execute, the marketing and communications that we put together to attract these kinds of people. We get a lot of positive recognition for it, for sure.
And to build on that, like, as a reference point, people can now say, in conversations like this, you can actually now refer to Tech Beach as one of those success stories. Mm-hmm. But if I refer to a couple concerts recently, and I was listening to a couple radio stations and they were talking about celebrity, and asking, a couple people called in and asked, why don't we treat our celebrities better? And
Why
almost,
do we or don't
why
we?
don't we? And a couple persons called in, including the radio host, and their impression was that Trinidad and Tobago doesn't have celebrities. Where, people, they are persons who are known, or they're media persons, or
I'm
they
gonna look up your definition
Yeah.
of celebrity.
It's not going to be perfect.
Let me look at the
yeah,
definition.
please. And they're persons that are known, and we interact, and they're doing a job. So
I think locals just feel like because we live in here, everybody's supposed to be on the same level, and you can't be better than me because all our way is Trini.
Where do you think we get that from? Where do you think we get that from?
I don't know. Explain it to me because I find it confusing. at
I
times.
believe that's a colonial thing, right? About bringing each other down. The systematic programming, and again, that's not even an African slavery, because even when the indentured laborers were brought
Right.
here, we were pitted against
Against
each
each
other.
other.
So that was a Trinidad cultural thing.
remember we got the phrase fashionably unimpressed.
Right, right. Fashionably unimpressed. And so therefore, I'm not condoning it, because as Kyle say, and I agree, as the years go by, it's slowly diminishing. But that thing about, well, you could never be better than me. Right? And no matter, even if I see, well, hey, this person have all these likes, or this
Yeah.
person on TV, and I secretly look up to them, but when
Yeah.
I see them in person, I have to make sure.
You gotta make sure that,
Rich
nah,
and
you
show
something
them,
to
nah,
me.
you
Yeah,
something
yeah,
to
yeah.
me now. Right? So I think was embedded in us.
What we
The
say?
definition of celebrity.
Yeah.
All right. According to the Oxford Dictionary.
Right.
Because
Which is the standard.
anything from Oxford is the best.
Right, right.
Correct. No, the quote is say quote.
No, definitely not.
A famous person, especially in entertainment or sport, the state of being well known.
And they have a lot of well-knowns,
So
right?
if you're well known and you fall into one of those categories, but you see again, it's
But you're
the-
A-list and B-list celebrity. Yeah?
Yeah,
So
correct.
it's like how well known you're well known.
Yeah.
You know?
That's it.
But still, you're well known, and I think so. Let me use again U.S. culture. They
And where they are liked
celebrate-
as well.
They,
That
they,
big
Yeah.
they celebrate.
No. I
their
mean,
stars.
some people is like draw on the dislike of them. You know, like Andrew Tate. He's like the most famous example of drawing
Right.
on the dislike.
Dislike, yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, you're talking about him. He wants to just be known.
Right.
You know,
He's still
he's
a
very
celebrity.
very
He's a-
well known.
he's still a
celebrity.
He's a yeah.
But Kim Kardashian had said it. There's no good and bad press. It's just
Yeah,
all press.
it's just press,
So it
yeah.
doesn't really matter, because even when persons come to sell their product, can you get my product out there? Can you get my product to be known? And the association, whether it be with that celebrity or not, really doesn't matter, because ultimately, when you start to hear persons talk about the quality of it, you'd buy it. Even if you might do it secretly, because you don't want to be associated with maybe the person who's the ambassador at the time. But if it works, it works. So if it's a good price point, you would do that. So I want to come back to that show that I was listening to, and they talked about the celebrity, and they were just asking, why is it someone would pay X amount of money to go and see this particular person and revere it and share it and talk about it, and yet still, when a local person does it, they are basically almost
They're struggling.
They're struggling,
Selling
or
tickets,
you are the what's it called, the opening acts almost for some of these persons, and the persons in Trinidad and Tobago who are on par or better than. We just for some reason just don't have the break. And again I come back to this show, right? What we discuss over almost 90 episodes now. We've spoken to men of all walks of life, from all backgrounds, and there's so many common points of whether it be pain or pleasure, or in a place that we call it a space of courage, that I ask myself, is it just simply the metadata?
Well,
Is it?
Well, one, I would say again, our culture is not something that necessarily celebrates celebrities or heroes. Now we becoming that. Now we have different awards for different things, quote unquote local. Now even getting
How
something
many
like
people watch those award shows? Because I mean, we see that we
Yeah.
receive it at the various stations.
Not
and-
much.
But you're not gonna sit down and say, hey,
taking the National Youth Awards or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's
yeah.
Grammys,
Yeah.
it's Oscars,
Yeah.
is you know,
No,
Emmys.
I think let me go in ways to correct it. One, I think social media in itself will help correct some of those things, right? Because now lots of people have the opportunity to put themselves out there and show themselves, and more people to see it and tune into it. That's one. So by design, I think some of the cultural confidence could actually be built passively, right? Without intent of we creating these avenues just for that. So that's one. Two is that I don't think that because the culture before wasn't specifically for that. Because if you look, and I use in the US because they propagate pride, right? They celebrate the Hollywood stars. They celebrate being local is something to be celebrated, and they embedded that into their children from young. And even look at other countries, even our so quote unquote controversial neighbors that migrate into here that speak Spanish, right? The few that I have had conversations with in English to understand is that how they grew up, because I really wanted to understand, a lot of them grew up with a different kind of pride than us, right? A pride in themselves, pride in how they dress, because you could see, and this is not me being judgmental, because I've spoken to foreigners who live in the country, and one person said, they said that Africans from Africa, you could tell the difference from them from Trinidadians because they dress a certain way, right? Africans think themselves, I'm
And I think they have
parroting
more
what the person
pride.
say, right? The Spanish-speaking people who
Yeah.
come into the country, look how, not all, I'm not saying all, but a lot of them dress. You could look and see this person is not Trinidadian because they dress differently. And again, not all, the pride that they would take to dress. And I remember I was standing up on, where I was in Shogunas Main Road, right? And sometimes I like to people watch and ask people what they think about certain things. And you could see, and when we dress as Trinis, people will say, "What you dress up so for?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And not to say, okay, I'm probably in a suit now, but if you dress well, people would ask you why you dress so
Yeah.
well.
Just to
And
come and show us to
Ju-
what we wrote.
just to do this, just to do that.
Yeah.
Versus,
All are just to do this.
Yes, yeah. They always have to question, yeah.
right. And so I was saying that. So that's with the look, but with everything, even quality. Sometimes I remember people wanted to watch shows on cable versus local shows because the quality of the camera was clearly different. Right now, I'm not questioning why, whether it is infrastructure or funding or things like that. But you would look at a foreign product, even let's say non-American, because there were other shows from other countries that came to Trinidad. You would look at it and see the quality different. Like I will always know what a local advertisement look like versus foreign.
With the
Right?
Bristol board began pulled
You,
and
you,
things
you,
like
you,
that.
you must know, and that may
Yeah.
be, and Kylie said something before about quality,
Yeah.
right? They look at your product and say, is the quality of an international. So that means in their mind, they correlate low quality with local. And
course,
that's what
for
I
sure.
think
Yeah.
we could change
Yeah.
at a local level.
But people pride themselves almost now by saying things like, I don't watch local TV. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
cable is no longer.
Really, the people is
But you see it, people say,
Yeah, man.
I don't watch local TV. Or I don't
Okay.
listen to
That's
local.
a new one for me. I
and,
don't know.
No,
Local
no,
music.
for sure.
and it's like, well, but there are some really good quality. And the thing is, for example, let's just take some of the productions I do. Make Your Point, Spellbound. The quality is of a good standard. But you can't compare listening to someone from Harvard or Yale or Stanford. It's a different accent. It's a different school. It's a different look. So therefore, you still have to tell yourself, but if you really listen to the shows, our students here are brilliant. I mean, Make Your Point is one of the proudest, it gives me such pride doing that show because when you listen to the quality of debate, to me, it's international standard.
All right, let me play devil's advocate. Let me throw it out. All right, why should somebody, and anybody can answer, why should somebody listen to a local production over a foreign one? Why? Why should we do that? Why should they do that?
Relatability.
One,
That's a
Okay.
big one for me. Relatability.
I don't know necessarily that people consciously don't choose local content, right? I don't think it's like that, right? Like, oh, I don't look at local TV or whatever. I don't like. I think it's less about that. I think it's people take in good content that they could relate with, and if it's marketed well and put in a way that they could consume it, I think they would consume it, right? I think our local content many times is stifled for a lack of marketing in the right channels, in the right ways. Because here's the reality. Some of the biggest content producers right now are local guys.
Correct,
Right?
correct.
The homegrown names is the Kyle Boss, the Junior Lees, the Rhodey, the Samsons, right? As our top local entertainers now, right? And who isn't consuming them? Call anybody pick somebody in the street right now and call one of those 4 names. I bet you bottom dollar, 99% of people that have a phone know who these guys are.
But ask yourself, why?
Because
They've created the content in the ways that people...
The relatability is people, the best comedians in the world, if you listen to Dave Chappelle or Kevin Hart and these people, they tell you, what makes them that funny? It's not just delivery or Jamie Foxx. It's that people can look at that and relate, like almost man in the mirror. So when you listen to, and these guys are geniuses in what they do. I mean, the editing, the scripting, they're doing this on a regular basis. I think they're phenomenal. But to say the content in itself is one that you can look at and go, I could connect with that.
Yeah.
I've experienced that. My granny used to tell me that, my auntie, or that person's my neighbor. But I do ask myself, outside of a Caribbean diaspora, how relatable are some of those things? Like, what is the longevity of that when you kind of hit all the markers?
Like, what is the next step?
What's the next step?
Well,
in terms of to say go on
I'm glad you asked that, because if you look, and going back to the quality, yes, I agree with the relatability. That's for anything. If you can't relate to it, you wouldn't look at it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if you look at the quality, if you look at these guys, the same certified Samson, Kyle Boss, look at their product over time. You can tell that they're using better cameras, right? They have more angles. They have more. They take pride, same confidence
They're masters of the
in
craft
what
now.
what they are doing. I even realized some of them now, when they travel overseas, they make content overseas because they are crafting and making their product even better. Let me give an example of somebody local to who not so young, Trevor Sayers, right?
What
Right?
content he making? Where you going with this?
Right?
Where you going with this?
Yeah, right?
You
Are we,
hear what
are we
you
back
just
to the
said?
answer
Yeah.
where you
Right.
dislike or
Right.
something?
I'm
Are we
confused.
starting
I'm
from
real
Stamina Man?
confused.
Right?
I'm real confused.
Is that
Stamina Man. He had a big thing with Stamina Man. Stamina Man.
people would laugh at this guy, make fun of this guy, but
He's
in
a
the
celebrity.
earlies, he continued making content.
Yeah.
He had confidence in himself. Well, I use
So
the
he's
word
still around?
confident.
He is.
It's a while. I mean, I haven't seen any content come up on my phone with him in a
Right.
while. But the point is, he had confidence in what he's doing. He built his brand because he was sure of it. And then people, so when you say Trevor Sayers, people would know who it is,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
And then I ask people,
But
you know,
what kind of
people said
perception people have?
But people said no matter how quote unquote crazy they would say he seemed, many people said his products worked.
Exactly.
So going
And
with the
people swear
quality
by him.
part of it.
Oh,
now.
for real?
Because sometimes people would say buy local, but then it's a subpar
So
product.
it's not the placebo effect. They actually
People,
He have his
testimonials.
people, yeah.
say that. People say that plenty because I why? Because I noticed he was thriving. His stores would thrive.
Right, Sixth
but then I would
Avenue.
think, hey, this man, this do some real out there. But one, he did it consistently, right?
Do you know what kind of vehicle he
You
drives?
laughing. I don't know. No, I
He
don't
drives
know.
a Benz, you know. I saw
Well,
him come out of a Benz.
Good for him but he built his brand. He had confidence in his brand, just like the of old, the Bueller, the Tommy Joseph, the Sprangalang. They had confidence in themselves, so
Yes.
they were executing their brand no matter what people said, versus trying to change. And I think we could take an
But we're not
example
comparing
out
these
there.
comedic legends to Trevor Sayers, are we?
No.
Okay.
But what
I just
I'm
want to be clear on
comparing
that.
is the consistency,
bring it to him.
the
I think-
confidence and the quality
And they
part
love
of
their
it.
culture.
Right.
I think they had an appreciation
So that's
for
what
where
we
they
see
came
with
from.
Certified Samson. That's
Yeah.
what we see. I am celebrating my culture. I think I could be wrong, but I think it's Rody kind of started it first. Because I remember Rody used to do his content before.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
one
yeah.
of the
saw-
pioneers.
Rody is
for
our
sure.
original.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And it was local. It was things that I could relate to, but he kept doing it over and over. It had new characters all the time, and he kept raising the bar of the quality. And I think that is an important part. And if you look, we have local brands.
For me, even before Rudy was JW.
Yes, with Capleton and
Yeah,
things like that.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
And-
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he kept doing it better and better and kept pushing forward. And that's what I think the important part, because sometimes people think, well, it's because it's local you have to buy it. No. It's where if you have something good, I will buy it. So
Yeah.
if we create things that are, because I have many things that we create here locally that could be better than overseas. But if I realize the Kellogg's cornflakes, let's give an example. If that tasting better than and I'm not going to call any brand, but than a
local
brand,
brand, yeah.
then I will buy that. But if this thing, this thing tasting good, forget this whatever it is. And that's why I agree with what Kyle said. I don't think something.
But you have to get to the point of tasting it though. Because if you put them, and you see these taste tests all the time where people put it in a bowl and tell you which one you like, so you don't have the branding associated with it.
Yeah.
But in general, nobody's doing a taste test on a regular. So in general, the marketing will certainly show you which one outside of that your brain is trained to automate, because you see with your eyes. I mean, sorry, your initial thing is. See with your eyes.
That was deep. That was deep. That was deep.
Bye.
That was
Right?
deep.
You really see with your third eye. Yeah, like that's right.
Yeah.
What you're trying to say, I think, is eat with your eyes.
with your eyes.
with your
Yeah,
eyes,
yeah,
something
yeah.
so,
So
right,
before
right,
that becomes a meme, yeah,
You
that's
just,
what I'm
just
trying
halo
to
the
say.
Illuminati there.
No, I try not to, which is why I'm very conscious of how I put my hands on, in this day and age, just like, hey, sponsorship, no, I'm just kidding. right?
By the Freemasons of Trinidad. Wow.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Why is Kyle? So
Starting to get uncomfortable.
I started to get sweat. Hold on, I'm gonna check. For me to go and taste another brand of cornflakes or whatever the case may be, I have to want to.
Yeah.
As opposed to nobody's coming with 3 bowls in a restaurant and saying, hey, that's local.
Yeah.
So therefore, to get to that point, I might continue to say buy a particular soda. Well, I don't drink soda and things like that, but just you may continue to do that as opposed to try something local or try something that's not from the United States, rather, to realize, wow, that actually does taste better, because we're also creatures
Well, I
of
think
habit.
as Kyle said, that those barriers slowly breaking down as we have social media. I see the brands utilizing the local celebrities,
The
right?
local
Correct.
Right,
celebrities.
they're utilizing it that people watch, and I think slowly but surely, if we continue along the path, we could break down some of the barriers.
So like me, Best Doubles is still sauce. I'm a people's in the savannah at night.
That's a sponsor, that, or?
No, I just, by choice. Taking a short break, cultural confidence.
This is manhood, and we are speaking about cultural confidence. Now, as a teacher, I want to bring it from a teaching perspective, right? I see different kids every year. Every year, different kids keep coming in.
Not
And-
kids, children.
Yes.
Kids are young goats.
Yes, right? And I realizing that accents changing. And that all has to do with the media that they are consuming. Right? We spoke about before.
Peppa Pig, Miss Rachel.
Peppa Pig.
Miss
Miss
Rachel.
Rachel.
Blippy, Bluey.
Yeah, I don't even know all the names. But these children are picking up the accents.
I wonder how come we never pick up the accents. We're listening to foreign thing too, Cartoon Network.
I think because
Nickelodeon.
it's the rate. Every
Yeah,
child
not
have a
as
tablet
much.
in their hand.
Or the phone, and parents, like, you're doing something, give the child the phone so they could just be immersed. And
But what that is doing for our cultural confidence, that is basically eroding our cultural confidence. Because first thing, parents don't like children talk broken. But do you know that Trinidad Creole is our second language?
Well, yeah.
And it
I
is
would say
recognized that we are bilingual because we speak Trinidadian Creole.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
When I did
bilingual.
I did an alphabet series with the Patois Association. And when I did those studies, being bilingual means we could speak Trinidadian Creole and
Standard English.
Standard English.
But
So
can,
we are
but can we? Not everyone can.
Not
because
everyone can.
I hear some purple adjectives and green verbs on radio and across in many environments, people, giving, high level talks. And I ask myself, one, why do we use, because we're still, as far as I know, follow British English.
Yeah.
Right? But yet still we
and
love...
the British spelling.
And the spelling more than anything,
Yeah.
right? So why do we still insist on spelling the American way? And two, like you said, using, I'm delighted to know that we are bilingual that in that way. But I for one, will not, if my son comes around with D and this and that, while it's the formative years, you must know, naturally you're going to pick up the accent.
Yeah.
And naturally you're going to be bilingual. Speaking Trinidad Creole. But the harder part to me is understanding the proper pronunciation at first. Because you have people who would say vise or souvenir and things like, and flim.
All that comes from the patois part of our heritage as well.
No,
I do through that patois,
Yes,
flim.
Not flim. But jep. Jep is a patois word.
So
we use a lot of patois in our regular conversation.
But Steph, but the thing is, we can have that conversation, but I will still know it's Jack Spaniard. I will
Right.
still know the
Right.
proper pronunciation. If I'm speaking outside and someone is asking me to explain what is this JEP, so like you're the student's companion or
Right.
the Kotala for education to persons when you are away, you're ambassadors,
Yeah.
or even locally, you must know initially where the origin is. But
Yeah.
so just tell me, I don't want to start off with this, that, vise.
No, we have to learn to balance.
JEP. I can do
There
that in a
must
conversation.
be a balance. You can't just be talking Trinidad Creole right through. You must learn your proper English because you have a school system to go through.
And on an audience.
And an audience,
we
yeah.
even calling it proper English, right? Which is really British English. We
British
call it
standard
proper,
English, yeah.
Proper English, right? And I laugh, but I appreciate that Trinidad local patois could be considered a second language because a lot of the other Caribbean countries celebrate their patois.
They
That's
do.
something
Said
that is-
Lucia,
that is
Dominica,
taught.
celebrated.
But again, we look at it as you're speaking bad.
Yes.
Right, versus that we have our way we speak, and then there's the British. So I understand, of course, to communicate in English, you learn the standard English, the Queen's English, quote unquote. But again, this is just celebrating what we have, celebrating the way we speak, celebrate the things we do instead of looking down on it. It's different.
But as you said, looking down, there are many things in the same way when persons come and they hear, in my experience, the accent, even though they're understanding very clearly what I'm saying, there's things that they point out when they say, talk Trini Femina, right? And they actually point out that our accent is in many ways very similar to a Welsh accent.
Yes.
And we have that same kind of sing-songy way of speaking, but also that in some of the things that we say, they say that you know that you date in descending order some things that you say. So like, for example, we would say man, so on, so on, so on, so on, so boy. You've gone from start off with a man and then it ends with a boy. And when you start to understand what they're taking, because we're talking amongst each other, we don't know, we don't pick up these things. But to hear the interpretation from outside makes me feel sometimes even prouder, because it's one thing I have never, maybe Russell Peters very slightly got it right.
He got it in the joke, yeah.
You see Trevor Noah, all of these people have tried. And it's funny because, again, like our Kyle Boss and these people, it's relatable. But do they really, if you heard him on the street speaking like that, you would know he's not Trini. Mm-hmm. No one can impersonate our accent. No. We can clearly pick up anybody's accent.
Not really.
But,
what? No, man. You're
boy,
giving
you
yourself
name
too much
an
praise.
accent and Trini can't talk after probably 2 weeks.
The whole point of
I want to know where Major Hype from.
I did find that out the other day. But he's not Trini. Okay, so Major Hype is another one. Because he's not Trini. I think he's Grenadian.
And when I hear him, I was sure Major Hype Trini.
He's a
and he
boss.
was
He's a
impersonating
boss.
Jamaican. Then I was like, nah, he Jamaican.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like, nah, he can't. Like, I
No.
don't know. Maybe nobody. When they amongst it enough, some talented people have that gift. Have that
To
gift.
pick up a Trini accent.
I tell you,
I
Major
don't
Hype is
know.
the one example.
Yeah, he is a.
Right? He's the
take him
anomaly.
up,
I
yeah.
would say that, you know, when he imitates and Trini's really sound like
Like a
It's a
Trini.
long time I ain't seen any major hype content, but
Yeah, because
would
I think Major Hype be a cancel or something a little bit.
At one point, there was something with regards, I believe, domestic violence or
Violence.
something around that. But one thing I noticed as we're talking about that is the four anger sometimes of persons. You are, which is where we come to the conversation of the difference between likes and engagement, or following, and engagement, because his following didn't drop. People mightn't be as engaged in certain content, but the following at that point still remain 1 million plus. You know, you would have thought for the sort of rhetoric and the vile comments that followed, you know, during that period. People want to be heard. They want to make a statement. We have this thing with cancel culture, but you know, there's always this thing. I'm not condoning in any way what he did. I don't know. I wasn't there. My grandmother would always say, "You weren't the mattress." I would say that be very careful. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And you never know where you're going to be at what point in your life.
that statement don't hold as true again, because being on the internet and having your phone is in a glass house, right? Nobody, you could anonymously throw your stones, right? And
But you're still doing it.
even know
No,
who
but
you
you're still doing it. So therefore, then we could come to the other part of that. Karma's a So even if you're doing it in your smallness and nobody knows you're putting it under an alias, you're still doing it. You're still part of that hurt that could be that
Bestowed
energy
onto somebody,
that could be
yeah.
bestowed on
that, that is part of Trinidad culture too. You know?
I don't subscribe to that. My thing is
Everything in the culture good. You know,
Right. I'm not saying it was good enough.
Yeah,
but
we-
I'm bringing that example out because we're talking about even the confidence, bringing people down, right? We could call it peacock. We could
Let's
we
call
could
it, yeah,
start
the
with that.
masking
But,
Okay.
but
as peacock.
I think it have a fine line too between
hating.
peacock and hating, right?
But remember, this peacock could lead to someone's affect mental health, eh? And that's
Right.
a big issue that you have to talk by yourself.
there's bullying, there's all
Yeah.
of these things, because you might think, hey, I'm making a joke. And I've said it on this show a couple of times, you know, names that we've called people growing up. And you think, hey, that is joke, is jest, right? But to that person, they're feeling insulted, they're feeling hurt. You don't know where the origination of that is. And like you said, mental health. You affecting that in a massive way.
Because peacock, right? Now, I could be wrong, I don't have a Kotisi Kotala, but my impression of peacock is more of a closed group. So if Kyle and I are friends, I could talk about his shoes and we laugh about it because I given him peacock. But if I don't know him and I come and say something about you, that's something different. And that's what I think that line blurred the Trinidadians now use. Well, they can't take peacock. No, you don't know me. You and I have
I
no
can agree with that,
reference,
yeah.
right? For you to laugh
Yeah.
at me because we can laugh among friends.
If everyone knows that it's joke, say for example, you cook bread and I go, boy, that bread was hard, boy, I want to break my teeth.
And we laugh
and
about
we
it,
all
yeah.
know that, hey, I'm making a joke, I actually love your bread, then that's fine. That's to me positive peacock, and it's up.
No,
that
no,
I
not
will
even
take.
positive. That is peacock because
That's
peacock in
peacock.
itself is
Among friends.
But
Right.
but at Trini, I would take that up as a cultural thing. But if I'm starting to shit you up in public and nobody knows that your bread really not that way, and I'm doing it in a way that I'm not cracking a smile at all, what could that do? That could affect your brand. You mightn't know how other people are being affected, so therefore you may react in a particular way. All of these, someone could go on their phone and walk off and not come back to the conversation. All of these different things can happen, and it becomes serious. Next, you know, all of a sudden your business is affected, or something has happened. And is it then?
And that's the part, and that's what I was saying. Sometimes even how we could erode our own confidence is because we now sometimes take it upon ourselves as Trinidadians, just looking for something. The person come up, they have a good product, they have a good service, they have a good show, whatever, but we just looking for that one little thing. They have a thread from the pants, he can go by a good tailor or what. If you understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying now, again, if that was in a closed setting, cool, we talk about it. But so we
Is that
we-
from trauma though? is that our a position of trauma that is a coping mechanism almost that we've in our ability, where the same way we talk about being fashionably unimpressed, that we simply can't.
Well, I guess it could be the self-esteem thing, right? Because, and I'll draw a reference because years ago, I was having some problems with workmen, right? It's not a digression I'm bringing about. Workmen who would come to do work at the house, and you realize sometimes the quality was low, sometimes they wasn't impeccable with their time. If it's a good quality, then he always late, right? Then if he always early, sometimes the quality not good. Like, where's the inconsistency? Or I would say he would overbook jobs and take upon things that he really can't do. And I wonder where that came from. And after doing some investigation, I realized a lot of us, we have low self-esteem, right? And low self-esteem, so we would overbook things, say that we could do things when we really can't do it, right? Afraid to look bad and to say, well, no, I just can't do it. So give us subpar product instead of saying, out of these 10 things, I'm really good at this one thing, and let me stick to it. Now, I'm using that on one realm, the low self-esteem, because it also manifests in bringing somebody down. So you see somebody who better than you in this thing, and instead of saying, well, I good at A, and that person good at B, let me just go with that. No, I want to be good at B too, or I don't want this person look better than me, so I will purposefully bring them down, but use the guys, because this is a gaslighting technique too, that you can't take talk or, but you purposefully want to bring the person down, not just making joke with them.
When you you touched on something there in particular at the end, where what we do is a form of gaslighting and some maybe even some narcissistic tendencies, and again coming from probably positions of trauma, where the moment someone realizes that they're out of order, or they've gone above what might be the acceptable limit, you overdo, as they say. All of a sudden, it's thrown back as, what, boy, you can't take talk, or you thin skin, or what, and all these other things. And it's like, no, you effed up.
And you come to bring this person down.
Correct.
Exactly.
And when you realize the room ain't reading, and not feeling what you're doing, you now are able to turn it over. I just want to, because I know we need to go around the room just now, as we speak about cultural confidence, and just to bring it back to the fact that one of the things I realized, and it's a double-edged sword, is that I remember very clearly not just having lived in so many parts of the world, but also in parts of the world, like for example, when I went to go back to England, I moved to Manchester. There was a very small West Indian community, right? There are parts of LA at the time, very small community. Where I lived in New York, again, small community. And even some of the jobs that I took up at that point, there wasn't a big understanding of the West Indian, the diaspora, and as well as the culture. So it all came home when I went to Qatar for the World Cup. Myself and Crazy Legs, we were very happy and felt very proud, and you see it many times, to fly that red, white, and black.
Yeah.
But in flying it, as much as we felt we stood out and everyone wanted to come and ask us if we had a flag, ask us if we had a badge or a shirt, and you felt that pride, it reminded me even of the 2006 World Cup, where Trinidad and Tobago, Scotland, Germany, everyone was backing Trinidad and Tobago, because it was this side that nobody really knew about, and everyone wanted a piece of our country, our rock. And you feel pride in that sense. However, in the World Cup, this is 2022 World Cup, I also felt a deep sense of, I would have loved to see my country there too, and have the crowd see, in the same way we were marching behind Argentina and France and jumping up, even though we had the flag on, immersed in their culture. There was a huge part of me that was just like, I would love to see this, just Trini coming down the road, our soca warriors, and being part of that.
But then they had again, you name.
Well, yeah.
that
Which
was-
doesn't make, just on a real side note to
yeah.
that. My thing is, why don't we just call ourselves Trinidad and Tobago? Why does it have to be, yes, the Seleção and
Why the
Not
other-
necessarily,
The
you know.
reggae boys.
They have names, you know,
Yeah.
affectionate names, but to push it, it's really just you see Jamaica. You don't see.
Why? But I miss the part about why we need another name. Why the Soca Warriors not working anymore?
Copyright.
that part.
Copyright. It was just a
Someone
copyright
had some
issue.
yeah,
He had
someone had
created it,
yeah,
yeah.
just like with you know that's been going on for years.
Yeah.
I know there's one with Sparrow. I mean, I was involved even my days as a sports anchor. That's reared its ugly head again
Yeah.
with regards to copyright. My thing is comes down to money, but whoever owns the copyright, give it to the nation. Now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, as a gift.
Yeah,
Gift
as
to
a
the
gift.
nation.
Just
or
say,
pay the man for heating.
all right, that's you taking a different side. Yeah? But that's a whole digression to cultural confidence, and I just wanted to bring up that particular point of feeling one really proud to fly the flag and the identity and to be able to as some sort of ambassador, but at the same time there was just a huge void that was felt in saying, wow, I'd love to be part of this like a wider team that would have been there. You know, we could be in the stands and chanting and singing our songs, and it was we're almost again, as we talk about the cultural confidence, we want to take our culture. We had the confidence, both Crazy Legs and myself. I mean, we were eating catch. We were, you know, we had all the digestives, all the snacks, and we were giving it out to people to sample. I mean, we full on, we were full on, you know, cafeteria and like a what do you call it, a
I
tuck
like
shop.
that.
You know, we were
like
going into the I wouldn't like to say how we did it, but finding ways, and then people like, hey, taste that catch now, or digestives and
All that pie.
no pie boy, a little more
So-
again, you know, Crazy might
So, Rob,
rustle
what
up
you're saying
something.
is that you think we need more avenues to express our cultural confidence?
Yes, but also I'm trying to, you know, come down to maybe some of the whys. Why do we take on persons' accents? Why do we do it to fit in? Because there's not enough of us out there or known about us enough to you know, like again, a radio show just a couple weeks ago talking about, instead of us talking about the usual thing, Carnival, Brian Lara, Dwight York, Sparrow, all of these different people, David Rudder, the first thing Trinis talk about now when people ask them about Trinidad and Tobago, they feel that they have to defend the fact that, well, you know, we have crime like everywhere else, and then they break it down from there. Why does that have to be the first thing that comes out? You know?
Because that's what the news reminds us about every single day, unfortunately. It's a double-edged sword. It's important to be aware of what's going on, but then it is the thing that we speak about every single day, and so we're in a conscious mental cycle of just negativity, you know, and so, but the reality is that we are only able to break free through conscious positive conditioning as well, right? In the same vein that we're talking about the negative things that happen within aspects of society, we need to be very deliberate about speaking about the positive things that happen as well. I want to know about teachers like him that are having impact in the more vulnerable areas. Give them visibility, give them light, and so that the more positive stories become also part of who we are, and people could more just as quickly draw on those stories and tell those stories because they are super important, you know. But if we constantly beat ourselves over the head with all the negative that happens, it will be stuck in this self-fulfilling prophecy of negativity, you know. But if we see more of us that are on the ground, having impact, doing those things to really lift us up as a society, it will create that sort of wave. You know, if we were to be able to see more people going into more vulnerable communities, supporting, you know, and that in itself is a bit of a double-edged sword as well, right? Whereby you don't want to show people who not in good places, have them be visible, sort of thing. But also, I think it's important to have a certain level of visibility and within a tasteful way so that you create community. You create that wave of people who want to contribute, who want to make the communities better, who want to make the country better, you know, and we begin to propagate that cycle and break free of that mental cycle that only exists of how much crime that exists, how much crime that exists, how much crime that exists, you know. And so I think it's the responsibility of our media
I
You know?
wanna add to what Kyle said.
Yeah.
Visibility. Anybody could feel free to answer. Do you all think we have enough people flying the flag high, whether locally or internationally? And because of that, that affects our cultural confidence, especially for the younger ones?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And this is what I'm bringing up. Are we afraid to speak in our accent? Are we afraid to say that we're Trinbagonian for lack of no opportunity? I'm not calling any names, but I do know when I first went to New York, it was, I had an opportunity to go on Fox. I just left TTT and had an opportunity to go on Fox. And again, I'm calling the station, but I won't call the senior manager. When I got there, after I sent them a tape and everything else with regards, and I used the word tape, well, it was a DVD at that point. So I went up there with the expectation to get into Fox and then also the UN TV. And they said to me, we like what you do, we like your style, you have the right training, but we need you to adjust your accent. And I said, well, speak clearer. He said, no, we need you to go to lessons to adjust your accent, an American accent. And I refused. And lo and behold, cut a long story short, I no longer, and this is me packing up, moving to the States at that particular point with the almost guarantee that I was going to get this job between Fox and what was called NY1. I don't know if that's still around. But again, it's the refusal to do that when it was so easy for me to then just say, listen, for me to get into this market and this environment for myself, I could
Just change my accent.
I could just change my accent. And a lot of persons, not in any way judging them, have to do that in certain environments to fit in. To fit in, because not as much as the world likes, as they say, like to call us exotic. In certain environments and corporate environments or on the bigger scale, the population of which you're now communicating to are not ready to hear the news or segment from someone with
sing-song accent.
an accent. It's just unfortunately the reality.
Well, I love what Shaka has done, man. What Shaka has done for us. He keeps his authentic Trinidad accent, and he's clear, and I love that. And on that show itself that he's on is like an amalgamation of accents as well. So
Exactly.
it's cool.
Yeah.
And then even if Shaka there are times that may sound a bit more English than anything else, you have to remember he spent so many years
there.
playing football in the English Premiership.
And you could tell he's not trying.
He's not trying.
I mean,
Agreed.
again, you must know a fresh water when
Yeah,
somebody
first, yeah.
trying done if they're just around the culture. So as you're saying, Kyle, what you just said about the intention, right? And when you ask about if we have enough people, if we intentionally celebrate the people that we have, right? Which I don't think we do. We have a split. Somebody win a medal for us, we have a split of
Yes.
something, but it's not celebrated.
Oh no, and then you see Nikki pop up.
Right. So
when
America,
it
When they keep
matters.
up, yeah.
When it matters.
Yeah.
America have Hollywood
Nicki Minaj.
when they
Jamaican.
celebrate.
Yeah, she did say she loves Jamaica. Yeah.
Nicki Minaj is Jamaican. I mean, I didn't say so. This is what the people say.
Right.
Nicki Minaj is Onika Maraj, and she's from South, right? So I don't know where anyone will pull on to.
But you understand
But I
why
understand
say
where
that.
you're
Yeah.
coming from. But just to anyone who might listen initially and not get it, they might be like, "What, Nikki?" But just to clarify, she's
So let me just say quick. America have Hollywood where they celebrate themselves. Then India create Bollywood.
Bollywood.
You could say it's a copy, but they still celebrate themselves.
And Nigeria has
Nigeria have Nollywood where they
Yeah.
celebrate themselves. Now I'm bringing those references because Trinidad are not saying to do a Trinidad or
Trinidad.
whatever. Or maybe yes, or maybe yes. But the point is they have mechanism to celebrate themselves.
Pause.
Right?
No, you say Trinidad. So I just say pause.
All right.
yeah, that might mean something too.
Not sure that will go so well.
Your girl was on a Trinidad boy.
Yeah, that's our point.
Yeah.
The point is there are mechanisms to celebrate, and I think that should be the next step. The intentional, as Kyle say, be intentional about celebrating. And it's not only quote-unquote celebrity, it celebrate sports, it celebrate teachers,
Everybody.
it celebrate whoever it is. They have a mechanism, an intentional mechanism to celebrate, and I think
mean,
that will build the culture.
We have the Independence Day Awards. On the 31st every year. But that has
That's
such a
not
long and
publicized, that's
lengthy
not pushed,
process.
That's not, even so, that's not publicized, not pushed,
Yeah.
it's not celebrated.
The only
like
publicity you
those
get
things.
from that, for the most part, is when people now look at who may have gotten
Who
some
have
of the
gotten it,
awards
and it's in the papers, and who read in
and
papers.
now start to break them down in a negative way.
Yeah, that's
you know,
Really?
very rarely do you hear someone who gets the award and they go, "Wow, there's this huge."
This
celebration
person- yeah.
that this
Yeah.
person really should have gotten an award. It's
Versus
either
Dicey?
why they
Why they get
why
award?
they get award, who is he,
Oh.
why did this
Yeah.
person get it posthumously,
Why this one did not get it?
It's
Yeah, yeah.
who didn't get it, why we didn't give it to
touche.
them when they were alive. It's always
Some
something that's
controversy.
negative around
Yeah.
it. So
That's a good point. That's a good point.
There are ways that can be looked at. Everything, Rome wasn't built in a day. It will be a shift, a real paradigm shift in terms of that culture. Look, you're talking about literally going from full left to full right. But it must start somewhere. And maybe discussions like this on the show get people at maybe, even if it's to pause for one moment and introspect, there will be the persons that will look on and have their own things to say. And that's fine. This show is never about definite or infinite. Infinite. Like, this is how it has to be. It's our thoughts. It's a discussion. So if we can just kind of go around the room, starting with you,
Okay.
Stephon.
Well, as I
forget who
said,
you're talking
cultural.
to.
Yeah. So cultural confidence. That is something that has to be instilled from a young age. I can speak on behalf of the Ministry of Education. I know we are pushing cultural transformation, which is basically having programs where we appreciate different aspects of our culture, be it from emancipation to Indian arrival to Christmas to Diwali, where we celebrate aspects of our culture. Trinidad is a melting pot, and we have so much to be appreciative of. And when we instill that culture or that appreciation of that culture from a very young age, then it can be transcended. So kudos to the ministry for having that aspect. And in that way, we see the younger ones appreciating the culture as they get bigger, because we see some people here who, when they finish secondary school, Trinidad, they're good for me. I want to go away and study, ting. We have to value what we have here. Everything we have here in terms of education is top tier. Our university is top tier. We produce some of the brightest in the world. So let's appreciate our culture and let's build our cultural confidence.
Amen. I don't know how much you leave there for me to say. Underscore sign delivered. My perspective on the cultural confidence comes more from an entrepreneurial perspective. Yeah. And wanting to see more of our entrepreneurs accept and realize that you only happen to be from Trinidad, right? But you're building a global brand and a global business that just happens to be located in Trinidad, And so when you begin thinking about your business as serving a global audience, the way that you carry about yourself, the way that you design the business, the kind of systems that you build going forward really is one that reflects trying to serve that global audience. And I really want to see us lean more into our cultural confidence and the belief that we can create global businesses from right home here in Trinidad, and that sort of mindset shift, when that sort of mindset shift occurs, I think the conversation around the struggle that we have with Forex would drastically shift, because more of our businesses would just be inherently serving a more global audience and inherently making net US dollar cash. And of course, you have the ability to serve your local audience as well, and your pricing and your service offering might vary, etc. But from the onset, we're thinking, how can we share with the world our products, our services that come from here? There is a desire globally for our Trininess.
Kyle, both Kyle and I appreciate having both of you all here, because, and all manhood in general, to see different men in different forms, even show people that we don't have to be linear in terms of who we are, right? And being global, I agree. Now it's so easy. this is a cliche now. It's so easy to reach internationally. So easy to reach somebody in the next part. It's also easy for people to see the skills that they have, so that we could have the confidence. We have a lot of influencers. We have a lot of celebrities. We have a lot of sportsmen and women who already flying the flag all over. So I'm saying that now it's just we could be a little more intentional, and it could start from home. Parents, celebrate your children, right? Schools. Before, I remember people used to say, why should nursery schools and primary schools now have graduations? And used to say it's a waste of time, a waste of money. But looking at it from a different perspective, celebrate everything,
Yes.
Celebrate it, so that every stage that we go, I feel good about myself. I accomplished something. I have people who want to celebrate me. I could look back at some sort of film or video and see myself being celebrated, and so that we continue building that pride, because Trinidadians and everything. Trinidadians, we all over. We are
True.
skilled people, so we have no reason to believe, well, I have to go out to come back. When we go out, we see. I remember the university I went to, when I reached there, the vice president of the university was a Trinidadian, and I didn't even know that. We Trinidadians, we all over, and we are skilled people, so continue understanding that and building the confidence.
So that's just a hashtag for me after that. Everything is signed, sealed, and delivered, which I love more than anything else. That we kind of come full circle in a discussion. Cultural confidence. You said it, Johan. Say I was going to start off with it, but great minds think alike. There's a Trini everywhere, and that's not said in a negative. That's said in a very positive manner, and that for everyone to know, being Trinbagonian or being associated with a Trinbagonian or having a Trinbagonian in your line is unique. We did speak about Major Hype with the accent.
It's a blessing.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. And being here in Trinidad and Tobago, not just to be born, but also to be here, to live here, is a blessing. And I think the more we start to introspect and know that, the more we will see that sense of pride and take care of this rock and not see ourselves as individuals. We're not in survivorship. We're not into Indian, black, Chinese,
African,
white, all of these different things. We are Trinbagonian. I think the more people start to really understand the uniqueness of that, the pride will be there, the desire to be an ambassador and really to share that message of positivity will be there, because all of we truly are one family. Cultural confidence, I couldn't be prouder to say I'm Trinbagonian wherever I am, and to call the names. We talk about Carnival and Brian Lara and Dwight York and David Rudder and Shaka Hislop, and there's so many other names. But if you really start to dig deep and understand where Trini has been and where we will continue to be, the pride.
Yeah, you would be proud.
You'd be blown away. The red, white, and black. Fly it high whenever you can in a positive way. We are not crime. We are Trinbagonian.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Johanse, Kyle, Stephon, a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
This is Manhood, Cultural Confidence. Take it and fly with it.
Manhood, brought to you in part by Solomon's Bespoke.